Moderate Democrat stresses the need for consensus over political reform. A handshake that's changing U.S.-Cuba relations. And fallout from the release of suspected mastermind of Mumbai attacks.
Good evening. Democratic Party member Nelson Wong today defended his decision to call on the people of Hong Kong to pocket the government's political reform package. As Diane To reports, he also stressed the need for a new strategy in the fight for greater democracy.
The Pan-Democrats have tried to show a united front against any political reform package based on Beijing's framework. But Nelson Wong today shrugged off concerns that his calls to pocket the government's reform blueprint will split the pro-democracy camp.
That is not my concern. I concern how we can come out from this dead-end situation.
He said the fight for democracy needs a fresh strategy. Wong believes when people have the right to vote directly for the chief executive, they will feel it more plainly when they can only choose from pre-selected candidates acceptable to Beijing.
If all the people, they have the vote for the CE election, I think they have some expectation to the system. Before vote, they find out the problem of the system. I think they will be very angry and they will come out to fight for their democracy.
He stressed there are preconditions for Pan-Democrats to pocket the deal. That is, Beijing has to promise to trigger further reform after the 2017 election and get rid of the special interest group-based functional constituencies in LegCo.
If the government promised us in the future no functional constituency in our legislative council, I think that is a very good way to monitor the CE.
Beijing officials have already stated the 2017 electoral arrangements would not be the final form of universal suffrage for Hong Kong, but they refused to make that promise in writing. Wong said he just hopes this can be a new front for the Pan-Democrats to negotiate with Beijing again. LegCo President Zhang Yuxing said it's crucial the central and SAR governments consider a way to reassure Hong Kong people that constitutional development will not stop at 2017.
One way of sending out a very clear message to that effect is to consider setting up a kind of platform for collecting public opinion on further development of our constitutional setup.
Zhang also said he is prepared to quit as LegCo president so that he could cast his vote to get the government's reform package passed. Diane To, TVB News.
The police chief today defended arrests made by frontline officers during the Occupy protest after several demonstrators were acquitted in court. Andy Jung says police merely follow procedures when maintaining order and that it's ultimately for the courts to decide on the merits of each case. Joao da Silva reports.
Several protesters were arrested in Mongkok on suspicion of assaulting police officers during the Occupy protests last year, but some have already been acquitted. In one recent case, a 17-year-old was cleared of charges brought against him after videos of the alleged incident appeared to discredit the police officer's version of events. The judge raised questions about the officer's testimony and asked the complaints against police office to look into it. Today, the police commissioner refused to comment on specific cases and stressed that officers make arrests strictly in accordance with the law. Andy Zhang said police follow established procedures when enforcing the law and that it's ultimately up to the courts to decide whether to convict or acquit someone based on the merits of a case. The police chief added that when preserving law and order, it is impossible for frontline officers to make such considerations. Zhang was also asked about plans by the force to buy 3 specialized crowd management vehicles equipped with water cannon. The purchase, worth about $30 million, has been included in the budget bill, which means that legislators won't get a chance to vet it separately at the Finance Committee. While Deng had previously denied that the decision was linked to the Occupy protests, today he pointed to a radicalization of demonstrators in Hong Kong. He also said that when it comes to the use of force by the police, water cannon would not cause serious injury or death under normal circumstances. That's despite cases documented in other countries in which the use of water cannon could do that. And the police chief refused to comment at length on his impending retirement, saying only that everything's being handled according to procedures and that when the time comes, there will be an official announcement. João da Silva, TVB News.
A Now TV News engineer has filed a private prosecution case against 4 police officers for allegedly assaulting him during last year's Occupy protests. The case surrounds an incident at the Mongkok Occupy site, where Lee Siu-lung was working last year. Lee was arrested by the police, who accused him of attacking an officer with a ladder he was carrying. He was held for more than 24 hours before he was released unconditionally. Lee said he had told the officers that he works in the media, but said he was still beaten up by the officers. He reported the case to the police, demanding an investigation, but decided to file a private case of assault occasioning actual bodily harm, as the police still have not taken any action. Overseas now, an historic handshake at the opening of the Summit of the Americas in Panama. U.S. President Barack Obama and Cuban President Raul Castro made a step toward a groundbreaking meeting on the sidelines that could come as early as later today. Alan Buchnia reports.
President Obama was the last leader to arrive at the formal opening, greeted by Panamanian President Juan Carlos Varela. Then came the ice-breaking handshake between the leaders of former Cold War foes, as Obama and Castro seek to chart a more harmonious future. The symbolically charged moment was noted by the Secretary General of the United Nations.
The presence here today of President Raul Castro of Cuba embodies a long expressed by many in the region. I'd like to once again commend the leadership of President Obama of the United States and President Castro for initiating normalization of bilateral relations.
It was the first face-to-face contact between the leaders since the December 17th announcement that the two countries would move to restore diplomatic relations that were severed in 1961. Earlier, Obama said the U.S. would no longer freely interfere with the affairs of Latin American countries, with a caveat.
The days in which our agenda in this hemisphere so often presumed that the United States could meddle with impunity, those days are past. But we do have to be very clear that when we speak out on behalf of somebody who's been imprisoned for no other reason than because they spoke truth to power, when we are helping an organization that is trying to empower a minority group inside a country get more access to resources, we're not doing that because it serves our own interests. We're doing it because we think it's the right thing to do.
While a meeting on the sidelines of the Summit of Americas between Obama and Castro is expected later today, the White House was coy over whether Cuba would be removed from the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism. That move would not only eliminate the country's status as a pariah, but also ease Cuba's ability to conduct simple financial transactions. Alan Buchnia, TVB News.
A car bomb exploded at a shopping mall on the Thai island of Koh Samui, injuring 7 people. The improvised bomb went off in the basement car park below the Central Festival Mall late last night. It was hidden in a pickup truck. Authorities suspect it was the work of Islamic insurgents who have been fighting for autonomy in Thailand's south. Koh Samui is a popular tourist destination known for its pristine beaches. The island has never been targeted by insurgents. The alleged mastermind of the deadly Mumbai terror attacks in 2008 has been freed on bail in Pakistan. It is a move that has both India and the United States expressing grave concern. It was just yesterday when a court in Pakistan released Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi. He's among 7 suspects on trial in Pakistan in connection with the attacks in India's Mumbai district that left 166 people dead and scores injured. Alarm bells went off at the U.S. State Department.
Terrorist attacks are an assault on the collective safety and security of all countries. Pakistan has pledged its cooperation in bringing the perpetrators, financiers, and sponsors of the Mumbai terrorist attacks to justice. And we urge Pakistan to follow through on that commitment.
Just as outrage was India, which suffered the brunt of the attacks.
Every Indian, every Mumbaiker is today angry, and I think this anger will burst into a volcano one day. Right from the beginning, when it started, we had our doubts that ultimately he's going to be released.
Lakhvi was supposed to be released on March 13th, but it was mounting pressure on Pakistan to crack down on Islamic militants that kept him behind bars. Lakhvi's lawyer insists without proper evidence, the court had to set him free.
Keeping in view the lapses on the part of Indian authorities, keeping in view lack of evidence which has not been provided by the Indian authorities and just confined themselves to the extent of sending dossiers, court granted bail to Lakhvi.
Putting concerns from all parties aside, the Pakistani government said it must respect the judicial process. Lakhvi still faces terrorism charges over the Mumbai attacks. He's been ordered to attend the next court hearing set for Wednesday.
The leader of the Muslim Brotherhood group has been sentenced to death by an Egyptian court. Mohammed Badi and 13 other senior members of the outlawed group were convicted of inciting chaos and planning attacks on police and other institutions. The 71-year-old Badi was arrested in August 2013 after the dispersal of demonstrators supporting Islamist President Mohamed Morsi, a Muslim Brotherhood member. He was ousted by the army after mass protests against his rule. Under Egyptian law, the court's ruling was referred to the Grand Mufti, the country's highest Islamic legal official, for a religious opinion before any execution. The sentences can still be appealed before Egypt's highest civilian court.
And still ahead in our newscast, higher tolls proposed for Tate's Cairn Tunnel. A probe into a deadly industrial accident in Taiwan. And the young gun from Texas on target in Augusta.
Is it them?
Yes, it's them.
Starting this week for 4 consecutive Sundays, Heroes of Marvel are yours to win. Play TVB Fun with your smartphone every Sunday when you watch the movie, and you could win different collectible figures each week. Go to tvb.com for details. Tune in this Sunday night at 9:30 for Pearl's Movie of the Month.
Cavalia, the best show ever. A magical encounter between man and horse. Cavalia, now playing under the white big top tent at Central Harborfront. Tickets on sale now.
Celebrating its 30th anniversary in 2015, the HKMA TVB Awards for Marketing Excellence honor eminent marketing campaigns and outstanding marketers in Hong Kong. It is now recognized as the Oscars of the marketing field. Last year, with Global One-Up Strategy, Gold Award winner Harbour City continued to exceed customers' expectations by bringing the gigantic rubber duck to Hong Kong and successfully strengthened its brand on the global stage. Adopting an emotional yet effective approach, highlighting its long-established heritage, Silver Award winner Welcome successfully elevated customers' brand preference over rivals and sustained its leading